Like, they're suing me for something I didn't do. It's just the most bullshit.
So here's what went down with Jake Paul and this whole Netflix mess. I literally watched this entire disaster unfold in real time, and let me tell you, this turned into something way messier than anyone saw coming. We're talking about a full-blown legal nightmare that's about to get really ugly. Jake just got slammed with a lawsuit from Netflix, and this all happened right after that devastating Anthony Joshua beatdown. The gap between what this was supposed to be and what actually went down was absolutely brutal.
I heard that Gervonta Davis was being very difficult to work with, and Netflix was just waiting.
Let's break down what Netflix actually assembled here, because the scope of this thing was insane. This was positioned as Netflix's big heavyweight moment, broadcast live to millions of subscribers worldwide, and they were marketing this as legitimate professional boxing, not some influencer circus act or charity exhibition where everyone goes home happy. This was Joshua versus Paul on Netflix, taking place in a genuine professional venue with real judges scoring each round, medical staff monitoring everything, cameras documenting every angle, and championship level presentation throughout. Just the production budget alone showed you what they were trying to pull off. Netflix was basically announcing to the world that they belonged in serious boxing, that they could go head to head with established fight networks, and this massive event was going to be their proof.
Yeah, we think he broke his jaw. He's fine. We met with Netflix afterwards. He took a shower. He drove himself to the hospital. A broken jaw is very common in sports, particularly in boxing or MMA, and I think the recovery time from the...
And Jake rolled up to that arena acting like he owned the entire sport. Complete confidence, moving like he was untouchable, seemingly fearless in his own head, acting like he was built different from every other fighter on the planet. That was the whole image they were selling to everyone watching. But here's the massive problem that everyone could see coming from miles away. The guy standing across that ring wasn't some washed-up mixed martial artist hunting for a payday, wasn't some basketball player trying boxing for laughs, wasn't some nostalgia act trying to relive better days. This was Anthony Joshua, former two-time unified heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist, legitimate world-class athlete with over 10 years of elite competition burned into his fighting DNA. Joshua had spent actual years getting hit by real heavyweight killers, not social media boxers or hand-picked opponents designed to make someone look impressive.
Anthony Joshua didn't throw a single straight right hand for 6 rounds.
The experience difference was honestly painful to watch. When you actually examine what each guy brought into that ring, Joshua had Olympic credentials you can't purchase or fake, multiple world championships earned against serious competition, title fights under the biggest lights in boxing, and maybe most importantly, meaningful losses that actually taught him something valuable about fighting and about handling pressure. Jake had highlight packages edited for social media impact, hype videos designed to go viral, and a carefully curated list of opponents who were either way past their best years or never belonged in a ring with a serious athlete to begin with. The physical mismatch was somehow even more obvious than the experience gap. Reach advantage, weight difference, natural power, timing developed over years of real competition, composure when things got dangerous. Joshua had everything without needing to flex or prove anything to anyone. Jake needed all the noise and spectacle just to survive in that environment.
I was on the ground, I was like, that was a good shot.
Did he surprise you with his power?
To be honest, no, but I mean, he surprised my jaw.
This bout represented the first time Jake Paul actually faced a prime active, elite-level boxer who had absolutely nothing to gain from going easy and everything to prove to people, questioning why he even accepted the fight. No storyline protection, no narrative safety net to fall back on, no method to spin a loss into some kind of victory, just pure, undeniable danger. The second that opening bell sounded, I could read it all over the ring, written across both fighters' body language. This wasn't about Jake winning anymore. That fantasy died within 30 seconds. This became about surviving without getting completely embarrassed too quickly, managing the punishment, lasting enough rounds to preserve some dignity, because the loss itself, when it inevitably arrived, wasn't just about getting stopped in a boxing match. This was about the live, public, globally broadcast destruction of the entire Jake Paul business model. That carefully built narrative that confidence and self-belief and social media following could somehow substitute for real skill and experience. That illusion finally crumbled in front of a massive worldwide audience with absolutely nowhere to hide.
Looks like Jake Paul is trying to bait him into something, but he's the one that's hit the canvas twice in this round. Incredible.
Right from the opening moments of round 1, it became painfully clear to anyone who knows boxing what Jake's actual strategy was. Keep moving at all times, avoid direct exchanges whenever humanly possible, tie up and clinch when Joshua got too close, reset to a safer distance, repeat that pattern endlessly. There was zero dominance in his movement, no ring control, no attempt to impose his will on the action, just footwork designed purely for staying conscious as long as possible. And here's the detail people completely miss when discussing this fight. Joshua allowed him to do exactly that. That's the key point everyone overlooks. Joshua deliberately controlled the pace, measured every distance with surgical precision, took detailed mental notes about Jake's habits and reactions, and recognized that in a situation like this, you let exhaustion and gradual damage handle most of the work before finishing shots ended everything. Jake moved around that ring like someone desperately trying not to go under, like someone in water way over his head just struggling to keep breathing. Every clinch became a moment of relief, a chance to recover and reset his mind. Every time the referee broke them apart and restarted the action, that was borrowed time, a few more precious seconds of survival. Joshua never rushed anything. He waited with the patience of a veteran who's experienced this exact scenario countless times before. That's what genuine championship level experience actually looks like in practice. When you know with absolute certainty that the other fighter is burning massive energy just to exist in the ring with you, just to remain upright and conscious, you let them do it. You let them exhaust themselves while you stay completely fresh.
I love this shit. I'm gonna come back and get a world championship belt at some point.
Are you surprised you went 6 rounds with the former 2-time unified heavyweight champion?
Honestly, I'm not surprised. I just got tired, to be honest. Like, it was just so much.
Then round 5 happened, and that's when everything totally fell apart for Jake in a way that nobody could spin or deny. 2 separate knockdowns in the same round, not from wild chaotic scrambles where anything might happen, not from lucky shots, but from pure damage accumulation, from balance completely disappearing, from defensive skills falling apart in real time, from legs going heavy and unresponsive, from breathing turning desperate and labored. That round destroyed every single piece of the carefully constructed image. Jake wasn't unlucky in that round. He wasn't victimized by questionable officiating or bad circumstances. He was simply undeniably, completely overwhelmed by a superior fighter. When round 6 began, everyone in that building and everyone watching from home understood what was coming next. It became inevitable at that moment. One clean, perfectly placed power shot from Joshua, delivered without drama, without controversy, without any questions about legitimacy, just pure physics, just force meeting flesh in a way that human bodies simply cannot handle. The referee intervened and stopped the contest because there was absolutely nothing remaining to establish, no purpose in letting it continue. Jake's body had already surrendered before the count finished, before he could even understand what had just occurred. The immediate reaction afterward revealed everything you needed to know about how people processed what they'd just witnessed. Shock on multiple levels, surprise that he actually survived 6 complete rounds against someone of Joshua's caliber, but also simultaneous shock at how utterly helpless he appeared once genuine pressure arrived and escape became impossible. That wasn't courage we observed, wasn't heart or determination or fighting spirit. That was a slow, methodical, technical breakdown documented from every camera angle with modern broadcasting technology, with zero places to hide from the reality of what was happening. All that tough talk, all the confidence and swagger that built his entire brand, none of it lasted very long after that knockout. Within hours of the fight ending, Jake was being taken to a medical facility for evaluation. No victory speeches this time, no flexing for the cameras, no social media updates about moral victories, just harsh hospital lighting and medical professionals doing their work, running tests, taking scans, documenting damage.
I think I pissed him off. What were you doing? I was just saying fuck him.
The medical report came back harsh and unforgiving with zero sugarcoating possible. A fractured jaw, that was the initial finding. Then it got significantly worse as more comprehensive imaging returned. A double fracture, meaning the jaw broke in 2 different locations. This wasn't gossip circulating on social media. This wasn't speculation or exaggeration for dramatic effect. Actual medical imaging confirmed it without any doubt whatsoever. Recovery estimates landed somewhere in the 4 to 6 week range at absolute minimum, and that's assuming 0 complications, no infections, no additional issues during the healing process. That's not bruising that disappears in a few days, not swelling that reduces with ice and rest. That's structural bone damage, and people really need to grasp what that actually means in practical terms for someone's daily life. A broken jaw impacts literally every aspect of your existence. Eating becomes a serious challenge requiring liquid nutrition and careful planning. Speaking becomes restricted and painful, making basic conversations exhausting. Breathing requires conscious attention and care to prevent complication. Training stops immediately and completely with no clear timeline for when it can safely resume. This isn't cosmetic damage you can hide with makeup or clever camera work. This is structural damage to your skull, and it's the type of injury that fundamentally alters how you think about fighting, assuming you even decide to return at all after experiencing something like that.
Yeah. But I just pissed him off. Then he broke my brother's jaw. His jaw, huh? Yeah, he spoiled his jaw. Yeah? You don't care though. Jake's having a fucking blast. We'll see him back again for sure? Yeah.
But Jake being Jake, staying true to his brand and personality, he attempted to turn it into content almost right away. Social media updates started appearing within days. Jokes about the injury, tough guy captions trying to act unfazed, converting a serious hospital stay into content opportunities and engagement farming. Even his profile pictures across various platforms started embracing mockery and dark humor about the entire situation. There was zero real accountability in any of it, no honest reflection on what occurred or why it happened, just endless brand management and image control and narrative manipulation. And that's where the whole thing became genuinely uncomfortable to witness. He got destroyed in the fight in brutal fashion, then tried to transform the resulting trauma and injury into marketing content, and everyone watching could see exactly what he was attempting. And it felt disgusting. The contrast was absolutely devastating to observe. Here was someone who'd spent months claiming complete fearlessness, now documenting the medical aftermath of facing someone who actually belonged at that competitive level. I didn't see a warrior in those posts. I saw someone discovering in real time that confidence doesn't heal broken bones and that cameras and clever captions don't absorb physical impact when it arrives.
Now, you asked me a question. Look, it wasn't the best performance. It wasn't the best. The end goal was to get Jake Paul, pin him down, and hurt him. That has been the request.
Professional fighters from throughout the boxing community responded almost immediately once the fight concluded, and not one of them, absolutely zero, sounded remotely impressed by Jake's showing. There was genuine surprise expressed by multiple professional athletes that the contest even reached 6 rounds. But importantly, not because Jake demonstrated brilliance or unexpected ability. The surprise came from the fact that Anthony Joshua never needed to shift into high gear, never had to dig deep or reveal his true championship capabilities. The universal takeaway from fighter after fighter was brutally straightforward and damning. Anthony Joshua didn't overcommit, didn't chase recklessly, didn't panic when Jake attempted to survive, and didn't take unnecessary risks that could have created a fluke result. He waited with endless patience, modified his approach as circumstances required, and completed the job when it became safe and convenient to do so. That aspect mattered enormously in how fighters assessed the performance. The notion that Jake somehow pushed a legitimate champion to his breaking point, that he tested Joshua in significant ways, completely dissolved under even basic technical analysis from people who actually comprehend elite boxing. Then the financial discussion dominated the conversation, because with Jake Paul it inevitably always returns to money. Word started spreading through boxing media and industry circles that both fighters departed that event with somewhere between $40 and $50 million each, with some speculation pushing the figures even higher depending on back-end deals, pay-per-view percentages, and special Netflix bonuses written into their agreements. That's when public reaction really transformed into something nastier and more frustrating. The story formed quickly and spread everywhere. Jake Paul can lose badly, can get completely dominated and knocked unconscious, and still collect an absolutely enormous check that provides financial security for life. The defeat didn't humble him whatsoever, didn't teach him anything meaningful, didn't alter his behavior. It insulated him, gave him economic protection that makes future consequences meaningless, and that protection made people genuinely furious in ways that pure athletic loss wouldn't have. Fans can accept defeat. Every fighter loses eventually, that's the nature of the sport. What they cannot tolerate, what makes them livid, is someone acting victorious after being dismantled while counting money and pretending nothing significant occurred.
Thank you very much. I'm here with the winner, Anthony Joshua. Anthony, congratulations on the win. How would you describe that fight?
Well, first of all, I want to give love to the crowd, everyone that came out. I really do appreciate everyone in this venue.
The comparisons people began making got genuinely vicious and personal in ways that clearly troubled Jake's team. He started getting compared to viral marketers and content creators who sell hype and attention better than substance, who understand algorithms better than actual skill, a spectacle merchant, a brand first, athlete second, someone who knows exactly how to trend on social platforms, how to generate reactions, and how to monetize attention and controversy, but completely crumbles when real competitive pressure shows up and skill actually matters. That perception damage hit incredibly hard because it embedded itself in public consciousness in ways that simple defeat wouldn't have. Losing the fight would have been completely manageable for his brand and career. Losing and then immediately acting like it was some type of moral victory or strategic win, like it somehow demonstrated something positive about him, that made him insufferable to watch for huge segments of the audience.
Jake Paul, he's done really well tonight. I want to give him his props. He got up time and time again. It was difficult in there for him, but he kept on trying to find a way.
While the boxing community debated endlessly about Jake's credibility and future prospects, Netflix completely stopped celebrating their investment. The attention shifted with remarkable speed from punches and athletic performance to legal documents and courtroom strategy. This fight wasn't just programming for them, wasn't just one show among hundreds in their content library. This was their flagship entrance into premium boxing, their declaration to the sports world that they belonged in the same discussion as established fight broadcasters with decades of credibility. Jake Paul was supposed to be their gateway into that world, loud enough to create buzz, controversial enough to drive new subscriptions, profitable enough to justify the massive investment. Then came the bombshell that changed everything completely, the canceled super fight, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis, originally scheduled for November 14th in Miami, was supposed to be even more massive than the Joshua event. Tickets had sold rapidly once they became available. Marketing campaigns were already active and running across multiple platforms. Advertising space had been purchased and sold to major sponsors. Corporate sponsors were locked into agreements with serious money committed. Production teams had been hired and were preparing for the broadcast. Venues had been secured with millions invested in setup costs. There was absolutely serious financial commitment to this event before a single glove was laced up, before a single punch was attempted. The economic scale was genuinely staggering when you calculate all the moving parts. Internal projections reportedly approached $120 million in total event value, and that included subscription revenue from new registrations, advertising contracts with major corporations, sponsorships throughout the telecast, and long-term positioning in the sports streaming marketplace. This was not a casual gamble or experimental investment. Production expenses, staffing costs, promotional budgets, and infrastructure development were already paid for, already spent, with no method to recover that investment without the fight actually happening. The entire machine was operating at maximum capacity. Then Jake canceled everything unilaterally with no gradual exit plan, no attempt to negotiate or reschedule, leaving Netflix completely exposed. Netflix didn't allege simple confusion or miscommunication in their legal filing. They alleged willful breach of contract, not mutual termination where both sides agreed, not unforeseeable circumstances that made the fight impossible. Willful, meaning Jake understood exactly what he was doing and proceeded anyway. That word selection matters enormously in legal situations because it addresses intent and financial harm. A lawsuit demanding $100 million in damages, with the genuine possibility that lost profit calculations could drive that figure significantly higher once discovery reveals the complete financial impact. This wasn't about Netflix trying to punish him for changing his mind about a contest. This was about accountability and establishing precedent that you cannot destroy $100 million events without serious consequences. Jake's reputation as a dependable attraction for major events took direct, devastating damage that will haunt him for years. Broadcasting platforms don't forget conduct like this, and they absolutely don't trust again quickly. Advertisers definitely don't forget because their brands were connected to something that exploded publicly. Netflix executives were reportedly furious at every level of the organization. Leadership was publicly embarrassed in front of the entire entertainment and sports industry. Their relationship trust with advertisers suffered real harm that will impact future negotiation. The company that takes pride in precision, control, and dependable content delivery suddenly appeared reckless and unprofessional for investing so heavily in an influencer fighter who treated legally binding contracts like optional suggestions that could be ignored when convenient. Jake didn't just lose a fight in this scenario, he destroyed a multi-billion-dollar corporation's patience and goodwill in one catastrophic decision. Now his entire public image sits in ruins, scattered and contradictory and damaged probably beyond recovery. With large portions of the audience once promoted as fearless and unstoppable, he's now widely viewed as evasive and unreliable. Once marketed as disruptive and revolutionary for boxing, he's seen as unpredictable and unprofessional by industry professionals. Public reaction is divided almost perfectly down the center in ways that benefit nobody. Supporters claim he made some kind of principled stand, that there were ethics involved. Critics call it fear wrapped in virtue signaling, a convenient excuse for avoiding a fight he knew he'd lose terribly. The debate itself is exhausting and meaningless, but the consequences are very real and growing daily. Sponsors are quietly re-evaluating their partnerships with him, having internal discussions about whether his brand still matches theirs. Future platforms are genuinely reluctant to trust someone who proved he can cancel a massive global event without hesitation, without caring about the collateral destruction.
I don't like it. Even Anthony Joshua had some class and, apologized to me.
Did he really?
Yeah. He worked his way through the crowd and came up to me and said, "Mom, just know it's just boxing."